Welcome back. Climate Week NYC is an event featuring over 600 diverse events and activities throughout New York City. Each year, this global gathering brings together various leaders and advocates from all walks of life to drive the transition to a sustainable future. Aka Nwosu, the engagement officer for Climate Group North America, joins me to discuss. And thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Now, can you just tell us a little bit more about the overall mission of the organization Climate Group?
Yeah, so Climate Group's overall mission is to drive climate action fast. And we do this with a variety of different programs that we have, the EV100 program, Still Zero. We're also the secretary for the Under 2 Coalition, which works with lots of governments to achieve their climate goals. And then we also run Climate Week NYC, which is one of our biggest summits, throughout the year. And then the U.S. Climate Action Summit, which happens in Washington, D.C. So yeah, we do a bunch of really awesome things, but just mostly working with businesses and organizations to help the journey to net zero.
Now, I want to talk a little bit more about Climate Week NYC. I got to learn a little bit about it before, but can you just give us an overview about the key goals of Climate Week NYC and how do they align with the broader mission of, just getting people to understand and learn a little bit more about climate change?
Yeah, so Climate Week NYC is just honestly the perfect opportunity for organizations across New York City and around the world to really participate in sharing what their climate goals are, what their climate solutions are, and what they're doing to really tackle the issue of global warming at large. And so we essentially create a platform for these organizations to come together and host events, whether it's in person, hybrid mode, or online. We really want it to be as accessible as possible. We want to give opportunities to different people and organizations and institutions in different fields and sectors and industries. There's really no limit to it because we believe that climate change does affect everyone in some capacity, and so that's why we have 10 different themes where organizations and people that want to host an event can create an event under, just to make it as diverse and digestible as possible, because it is a really complex issue. But the week is really all about informing people, educating people, and just putting forth really awesome activations that can teach us more about climate change and what people are doing to kind of mitigate it.
Now, as I mentioned, there's about 600 different types of events and activities, which, there has to be something for anybody watching. Can you tell us a little bit more about what those types of events and activities are, and maybe something that you're probably looking forward to the most?
Yeah, so the good thing about Climate Week is it's super diverse in terms of what the offerings are. If you go to our website, I know it can be a little bit overwhelming, but our website allows our attendees to be able to filter it by theme, date, whether it's private or public, whether it's free or ticketed, there's something for everybody. And so, for example, if you are someone who, I always tell people they're wanting to attend, what are you trying to achieve out of Climate Week NYC? What is your goal? So if you're looking for networking opportunities, there's lots of networking events happening, happy hours, organizations doing just gatherings for people in the climate space to come and talk and network and get to know each other. And then there's panels where we have really wonderful experts who get to talk about any topic that they're really passionate about in the climate space. And then there's workshops that are really educative and informative and allow you to get a bit more hands-on experience about whatever climate discussions are being had. And then there's marches, there's shows, there's films, there's fashion shows, just literally all kinds of stuff for people. It's just great because young people can participate, older people can participate, even if you have no idea what climate change is all about and what climate solutions are. There's just something for everybody to be involved in. So it's really diverse and it's really fun, which is why the numbers are so huge.
And I love that you mentioned that there's something literally if you want to be more hands-on, there's something for you there. But if you want to take action in a different way, there's space for that, and I love that. Now, you also mentioned different age groups, which I think is so important, because a lot of our young people are understanding that they are probably going to be most affected by climate change in the future. In your experience or what you've seen, how have young people responded to events like Climate Week NYC, and how involved are they in this?
Yeah, I think young people matter honestly the most, because our future is at stake essentially, and we're the ones that are going to really suffer from whatever terrible policies are being made now, whatever effects of climate change will throw at us as a planet. We're the ones that are going to bear the brunt of that burden. And so, I definitely see young people, because there's this term called climate anxiety that a lot of young people are facing. And it's a good time to really touch on the climate and health theme that we've just recently brought in, which mostly talks about the effects of climate change on an already strained healthcare system, but also how climate change is worsening heat stress and diseases and climate anxiety for young people. And so with this new theme, we're definitely going to see a lot of the younger generation coming in to kind of express their frustrations and express the anxieties that they're feeling when it comes to climate change. And so it's really nice to just kind of have a space for younger people to step in and be able to voice their concerns, voice their opinions, and also most importantly, share and demonstrate what solutions they have. Because like I said, they're the ones that are going to bear the brunt of this, and they're going to see the impacts more than anybody else. And so it's really nice to kind of create a space and a theme and different programs for them to kind of be involved in and share what they're working on.
Now, when I think young people, I always think teenagers, but, is there any opportunity for children to kind of get involved and to learn a little bit more about this?
Yes, of course. There's lots of family-friendly events as well, which is really great. So for kids who are super young and don't quite understand or are able to grasp the complexities of climate change and Climate Week NYC, there's little things like scavenger hunts that they can participate in, and there's really educative documentaries that are even filming, so it's digestible. It's something for them to be able to understand without having a degree or go to school for it. So yeah, there's definitely lots of family-friendly events and things that kids can be involved in. There's also for example, the American Museum of Natural History is doing this thing where you go take photos of what it looks like to have a sustainable, healthy future or something like that. So it's more fun, less rigorous events, but it's still a way for them to participate.
That's amazing. I love to hear that. Now, I want to talk about how there are events being offered in person, hybrid, and some that are strictly online. Can you talk about the benefits of having, these different options for people?
Yeah, I mean, New York City is a city with 8 million people, right? So we definitely try to focus very deeply on in-person events because we want people to have that hands-on experience. We want them to come into the city and kind of be able to interact with other people, network, and there's just something about being in person that's so amazing. But then we also recognize that there's also people around the country, around the world, who will not be able to be physically present in New York City, and that's why we encourage our event hosts to make sure that they can, if possible, create events that can be streamed online for people across the globe to be able to kind of tune in virtually or in hybrid mode, because we just want it to be accessible. We want everybody to be involved regardless of whether or not they are physically in the city, but we always push for in-person events because that's what makes the most impact, I found.
Now, can you just explain? I understand that there can be different types of hosts. What are the steps needed if you want to host an event?
Everyone's welcome to host an event. That's the great thing. There's really no limit. I think one of our goals is we don't want Climate Week to feel too insular, so we open up the floor literally to anyone who's working to drive climate action in their own communities and their schools. And so we always call on organizations, businesses, startups, schools, or even just individuals. You could just be one person doing your own event in your neighborhood or online. So yeah, there's different kind of event hosts. There's really no limit to it. You're just free to kind of the goal is just to essentially create an event that is impactful. We really want to be able to quantify what is the result of this event, what have you achieved, what has your audience learned, and what can people walk away from with it.
Now, is there any goals your team has for the future of this event? This is now in its 16th year, which, congratulations, that's pretty amazing to kind of have something go on for so long. So, what are your future goals for the event?
I think one thing that we're really working hard on is just being able to continue that momentum year round, because we don't want Climate Week NYC to be this thing that starts on a Sunday and ends on a Sunday. We really want the impacts to kind of follow through the entire year until we come back in 2025. And so we're really always just, working with our hosts to kind of see how can we keep that momentum going, how can we sustain the excitement and the fun and all the lessons and engagement that we've been able to garner within the week, and kind of keep that pushing all year round. Because climate solutions is not just something that kind of lasts for a week. It deserves to kind of go on. The conversations deserve to go on 12 months a year. So we're really looking forward to kind of working with our hosts a little bit more one-on-one and seeing how can we keep that momentum going throughout.
That's amazing. Now, I want to touch on some of the themes. I understand that nature, food systems, and health discussions will be represented at Climate Week. Can you just give me a little bit more background on that?
Yeah, of course. So essentially, we're just going to be having events that will touch on the interconnectedness between these themes and climate change, because there's climate change and how it affects everything, really. So climate change in nature, climate change in food systems, climate change in health. Particularly with the health theme, it is a new thing that we've just introduced this year for the first time, which is really exciting. And we decided to go with this because there's nothing as personal as health. You know, it's something that's super close to us, and it's something that's really personal. And so we decided to launch this theme, you know, to touch on the effects of climate change and like human health. But I think the good thing about our themes is that we kind of open up the floor for hosts. While we run Climate Week, we allow our hosts to be able to decide how are they going to create this event, how are they going to make it their own. And so we kind of allow a great level of flexibility with these events. And so it's like, do you want to talk about climate in planetary health, or climate in mental health, climate in physical health, climate in health equity, climate in healthcare systems, just whatever way you really want to shape it. I think we really allow our hosts to be able to do that. And then with the food systems one, we're really looking at organizations talking about how to create more sustainable food systems. We're going to be talking about like food waste or plant-based diets and how that's more helpful for the planet. And yeah, so there's lots of different conversations to be had.
And I think that because it's so rich in just so many areas, I feel like keeping the momentum going is something that can easily be done, because these are things that affect us in our daily life way beyond Climate Week. So thank you so much for sharing that and kind of telling people, like, you know, how this does impact so many different areas of our lives. Now, with that being said, where can people go to find out more about all of the events, or just more about Climate Week NYC in general?
Yeah, so we've been working really hard on our website, and it's up and running. So climateweeknyc.org is the go-to place to kind of explore what our mission is, what the goals are. So yeah, just head over to our events page, and then you'll see all the events that are happening. Like I said, you can filter it by theme, by date, whether it's private or public, and you know, majority of the events are public, which is great. So just click on the button to register. I am hearing lots of events are already getting fully booked or sold out or like reached capacity. So it's really great to see the interest from the public this year. But there's still so much more coming. We're accepting applications up until September 8th. So we have about a week left, but we're willing to work with all kinds of hosts to, you know, help curate a very impactful event. So our website is the first place to go to. We also have our social media, and then our apps as well. Well, our app, which, you know, kind of helps you curate your schedule on the go. So yeah, those are kind of a good first step.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us and kind of sharing a little bit more about Climate Week NYC and what people can expect. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
To find out more information about this event, please visit their website at climateweeknyc.org. Stay tuned. We have more open for you right after this.